Alright, partners, we back. We are currently in wait of a data mine that's going to be for the Echoes banner. And by Echoes banner, I don't mean Echoes the game. I mean Echoes the X slot passives. So who knows when that data mine is going to be. So in order to save some time and get some more efficiency out of the wait, I decided to go ahead and drop this video right now. So we're going to do a video on Arcane Caliburnus. This is going to be our Arcane Green Tome. And we're going to take a look at some units and builds that you may want to put this weapon on. And the cream of the crop as far as Green Tome units are concerned are going to be covered here. Now, this weapon, I don't think it's quite as good as the Red Tome and the Blue Tome. I think those are better arcane weapons because they play up the nuking role a little better. Where, of course, Tome units just want to be nuking the foe. They've got Special Spiral 4 and Times Pulse 4 to just continuously loop specials over and over, nullify DR, and blow up the enemy. So, the Red Tome and Blue Tome do that a little better than this one. This weapon works by giving you -1 special trigger, all stats of 5, special acceleration on hit, and then nullifies enemies' bonuses to attack and res. So, instead of going for the nuke approach, this weapon is trying to go for a bulky approach where you're attacking the foe, you're surviving their counterattack, and then your next attack would be where you get the nuke from. So you want to play up that special acceleration as much as possible, and that is why the builds we're about to take a look at are going to be focused more towards survivability as opposed to nuking. Now, I say that, and what is the first build we're looking at? A Nuke Build. You can, of course, still run Nuke Builds on this weapon, because all you really need is the -1 special trigger and the all stats of 5. Also, the Nullify to enemies' attack and res bonuses is pretty cool, so that just helps you do more damage. So, Bastion is just a god. This man got all the attack and res. So, he has the highest attack and res of any demote Green Tome, so that should give him top priority and top pick of this Arcane Caliburnus whenever you get it. Now, for this build, we've got Remote Mirror to get some DR here. That's going to allow him to live up to the next attack, and then he's going to blow up the foe with a Special Spiral 4 Glacies that nullifies DR. And what's cool about this is that he can loop Glacies over and over after the first round of combat. So it gives him a way to ramp into Glacies. Like a lot of these nuke builds, you're kind of scratching your head on how to pre-charge the special. But the way this weapon works, you can kind of do that with some self-sufficiency. You get the guaranteed follow-up and the acceleration on hits, so he can attack in and get Glacies there. He can live with the DR from Remote Mirror and then blow up the enemy, and then over and over again, he'll be able to loop Glacies afterwards. We got Bonus Doubler on this build to get everything, pretty much. Every stat is going to matter with a weapon like this, where you want to just be having everything +6. So him being an infantry type, he can make good use of that. Okay, if you'd prefer to go for a speedier option, we have Tailtew here, the Tea-Time one. Now, this unit is going to be going for a speedy build, so we got Remote Sparrow, which gives attack and speed and DR. Magic Null Follow-Up to cut DR in half and allow us to hit a little harder. Attack and Speed Oath 4 for the attack and speed and warping, and then Bonus Doubler gets a little self-sufficiency there. But also, you would want to be getting defense and res on her. Like I mentioned with Bastion, the DR from the remote ace skill is going to allow you to live into your next attack. And another cool thing about these infantry mages is that they get Flare. So, Flare is pretty good for Tailtew in particular, because she's able to steal the enemy's res for the check on this, and they'll probably have more res than her. It's not like her res is bad or anything, but using the enemy's res to power up her own special is pretty good, and then it also gives a recovery. So you're attacking the foe, you're living with the DR from Remote Sparrow, and then you're healing off whatever damage you just took, so you can do the whole thing over and over again. So, a pretty cohesive build here. It fleshes out pretty well with all the skills. Okay, then we have Limstella up next. Now, Limstella may get a refine at some point. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but as of right now, I would actually say this weapon is just better than Limstella's perf weapon, because that one gives blocking of enemy follow-up. It has Wary Fighter built in, whereas this weapon is giving the guaranteed follow-up. So Limstella's speed only being at 30, you get a little bit more mileage out of the auto follow-up as opposed to blocking enemy follow-up. Limstella also has really thick defenses here. By comparison, look at this, 27, 37, 26, 58. Okay, Bastion's res is out of control, but then Limstella is more balanced in terms of defense and also having good res still, so you can get a lot of mileage out of a weapon like this where you want to be like an all-arounder, sorta. So Remote Sturdy for more DR, Null C4, which, funny enough, we can run this as offensive DR. It gives you 30% DR on the enemy's first hit. Then it can also give you some enemy phase potential by allowing you to counterattack foes that have Fire Sweep. We got Def Res Ploy, although actually Attack and Res Ploy would be better here. Now, the reason we got a proxy with Defense and Res Ploy is because the update didn't hit yet. We're still waiting on it. So the unit builder hasn't had a chance to add the new skills. That's also why we have Arcane Eclipse on all of these builds. I just decided to proxy that. It's got the same stats for the most part and the same refined stats. So just bear in mind, all of these weapons that we have Arcane Eclipse is actually Arcane Caliburnus, just proxied until the data mine drops. And then we have the Squad Ace BU3 seal here for Limstella, which gives HP up 5 and then attack and res up 3. We want to raise visible res here so that we can have an easier time activating Defense Res Ploy 3 or actually Attack Res Ploy 3, which would be better. Alright, then we have Arthur. Arthur? Is it Arthur or is it Arthur? Like, do you pronounce the H? There's no H in this one, but oh, okay, whatever. There's like a billion characters with the name Arthur in Fire Emblem. So regardless, this is an armored build. Now, what's interesting here is we're actually running Special Spiral 4 on a save build, which is kind of rare, but it kind of works. Like, Armored Flow gives you non-pierceable DR in ranged combat, so if you just loop it over and over and you're blowing the enemy up with a nullification of DR Armored Flow, which is basically just Iceberg in terms of damage, you can kind of get away with this a little. He also inflicts guard with Fire Flood Boost and gets the special acceleration on hit with Eclipse. So even before you pre-charge Special Spiral 4, you can kind of do this in the first round of combat anyway and just ramp into Armored Flow. Then we have, of course, Def Res Far Save and Def Res Form to raise defense and res as high as we possibly can. It's actually a pretty nice build. This guy is a seasonal demote, so you would have to use some orb investment to get him to plus 10, but I actually think it's kind of worth it. He's probably the best Green Tome armored unit that we have. Alright, then we have the Christmas Bruno as well. This guy goes for a speedier build because he can actually pull it off. His speed is not the worst. And Savvy Fighter does give us a lot of leeway with the speed. It gives you plus 10 speed for the check, so it's more likely he's going to be able to get that off. Armored Flow, once again, it's the special of choice for these Tome armored units with save skills. And then we're just raising attack and speed as much as we can. The combo of Guard from Kestrel Stance and Special Acceleration from Eclipse, or Caliburnus, rather, is actually pretty nice. So it's a nice combo. It works out pretty well here. Okay, next up we have the Tea Time Ferdinand, another seasonal 4-star demote, but this guy is actually pretty good. Look at the stat line here. Crazy amounts of attack and speed. I believe he has a super boon and I think he has a super boon on attack, and then his speed was regular, but 56 speed is nothing to scoff at. So pretty nice stat line here. We've got Flared Sparrow on this build because he can. He's a ranged flyer, so he can run it. So this would be more of a DPS style of build. Blaze Session to get more DPS, pretty much. Brash Assault 4 here. We're not really getting much out of the guaranteed follow-up of Brash Assault. However, we are getting a lot of mileage out of the DR, and also the augmented damage on the second hit. So that's how we're getting our little bit of survivability here. His defenses are kind of paper thin. At this point, I would say even 31 is like paper thin. We're looking at like 40 plus now for decent defenses. So you're going to need all the DR that you can get here. Now, keep in mind also on the banner, we have Rock Slide Dance coming, which is a dance skill that can grant dodge right away. So it's like dodge on demand, basically. That would be very helpful for this guy, and also this Sylvain that we're about to look at in just a sec. Okay, we have the Summer Levitain. Now, this, I don't think this unit was a demo. This unit is actually a 5-star exclusive on seasonal banners. However, they were added to the seasonal 4-star special rates, so you have a chance to pull this Levitain without actually being a 5-star. So I don't know, if she's one of your favorites and you want to build her, it can actually work. Her stat line aged pretty well considering how many flowers we can give her. So 43, 39, this is more so what I would consider decent res. We got Remote Sturdy, and Guard 4 here for a lot of DR, and also Inflicting Guard is pretty nice on this weapon. Helps you live a little better. Attack and res hold to add some more bulk as well. And attack and defense catch here for the seal just to show a little variety. So we're not running like forms and solos all the time. And then Bonfire would be the special here because she's got a little better defense than res. Okay, so Sylvain is up next this summer. Sylvain, another seasonal demote character, so you'd have to dip into the Orb well if you want to get him to plus 10. However, he could be worth it. I think actually the Ferdinand might be a better investment if you want to go for a seasonal plus 10, but Sylvain can get the job done. He's okay. So another speedy build here. This time we're going for the Escape Route and Def Res Smoke build. Now, this build does not have any DR to work with, so you would kind of have to get outsourced DR from somewhere, and Rock Slide Dance would be the way to go at this current time. You're getting speed and defense up 6, and then you get dodge on demand. So it lets you allow Sylvain to survive his first round of combat. Then he's going to take some damage. He can escape route away. He's getting Pathfinder from Def Res Smoke, and then he's debuffing the foes. And he's also setting up the Wall of Fire, so ranged enemies have a hard time chasing after him. So that would be how you would want to go for this build. And then finally, we got another option here. This one is free to play. This Picnic Leo here wants extra tomatoes on his sandwich. Now, this guy, again, we're going for some DR here. We got Def Res Ploy on this build, but you could go for Attack and Res Ploy instead. It's just that, as I said, the unit builder hasn't updated yet. So Remote Sturdy gives him defense, Guard 4 gives him guard, and also DR, and I think it does like attack -5 to the foe as well, helping us survive. Once again, we have the Squad A seal that gives HP 5 and then attack and res up 3. We want visible res, of course, if we're running deploy level 3s, the split ones. And that's pretty much it. That's just about all she wrote. These were the more standout Green's Home demotes and seasonal demotes that I could come up with. There are more Green's Home options you could go for, but to me, these were the ones that seem to be the best in slot for movement type and also stat line in terms of like stat line and stuff. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Which units are you going to be building first with Arcane Caliburnus? I think I'm going to go for Bastion first myself, and then that's probably it. I actually really like Bastion. He's one of my favorite characters from Radiant Dawn and Tellius. So that's all for now, guys. We will be back in however long it takes for the data mine to drop. So stick around, and I will give you guys the coverage on that.